Hello everyone, this is Joe Workman, and today I'd like to introduce you to PeekABoo. Now, if you've visited my website at all over the past couple years, you've probably used PeekABoo many times. And that is because PeekABoo is my awesome demo drawer that is available on all of my product pages. As you notice here, as I click on the View Demo button, a nice drawer opens up where I can contain any stack data that I like. And when I'm finished, I can simply close that demo. Now this is just one example use case of PeekABoo. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what else we can do with PeekABoo. Now what we're looking at here is the demo file that actually ships with the PeekABoo stack. So you can take your time and look through all of the great examples that we're about to show you right now and see exactly how they were accomplished. Now PeekABoo ships with two different stacks. You have the PeekABoo stack, which actually contains the content that will be shown and hid. And then there is the PeekABoo launcher stack. And this allows you to add the actual component that will be clicked in order to open PeekABoo. The item that has to be clicked is actually a link. So the content that you add to the PeekABoo launcher stack needs to be a link. Now a lot of times that could be a button or just some plain text. And we'll see some other examples of that as we go along. So as we see on this page, we have several different ways to launch PeekABoo. Here is a default button stack that allows me to close and open the drawer. And we can also use just a simple text link. And all this was done by just adding those components into the PeekABoo launcher stack. Here's a sample with sweep button. And also we have an image. So if you click on the image, we'll notice that PeekABoo contains some text at the bottom and is displayed under the image. Now, you'll also notice that PeekABoo can be contained within a container, or it could just simply be just some content that kind of opens up onto the page. Now, PeekABoo can actually be made to interact with other PeekABoo stacks on the page. So here's an example where I have a kind of central content area and I have three buttons that control three different PeekABoo stacks. And as I click on the various buttons here, we'll notice that the other PeekABoo stacks are unveiled. Actually, what's happening is one is closing as the other one is opening simultaneously. So it kind of gives you a slider effect. So here's another great use case for PeekABoo. And what this is doing is, as I open a PeekABoo and I open another one, you can actually close other PeekABoo stacks. So really this allows you to some great flexibility and great effects on displaying content, whether or not you want to only have one particular component displayed at a time. Now here's a very similar use case to the one we just watched. However, I'm actually using the target stack with PeekABoo to kind of use PeekABoo to overlay existing content. So as we see, I have a set of buttons and some text. And as I click on these buttons, you'll notice that the PeekABoo stack that is inside of a target stack will actually be overlaid on top of the content. So now that we've seen some great use cases for PeekABoo, let's go ahead and jump in and see what this stack's all about. So let's review the PeekABoo settings that we have available to us. The very first setting here is the launch ID. Now you won't need to change this if you only have one PeekABoo stack on your page. However, if you're going to have multiple instances, you're going to want to make sure that you actually have a unique ID for each of your PeekABoo instances. And later on, we'll see how we use this ID inside the PeekABoo launcher. So here we have some simple layout things, padding for inside the PeekABoo stack, the starting height, which by default is 0. So maybe if you wanted to show a portion of the PeekABoo stack and then actually expand it, so you basically can show a portion and then expand based on that. Okay. Next is maxed height, and this is the maximum height that PeekABoo will stretch to. Now, if you only have 100 pixels of content and you set max height to 1,000, PeekABoo will only expand to the height of the content. However, if you're noticing that your animation speeds are a little bit slow, you might have an issue where you have max height set too high. So be careful of that. Then in animation, we have their general animation settings here. You can change your effect, the speed of the animation. You can delay it. So if you want, after a click, you can actually delay a few milliseconds or whatever amount of seconds that you'd like before the animation begins. We can have PeekABoo opened on page load. Close all other PeekABoos. So that means when I open this particular PeekABoo, that's how I can close all the other PeekABoos on the page. Okay. Then you can also disable close for links. And that means basically once you open it, you cannot close PeekABoo from the various buttons again. However, other PeekABoo stacks can still close it. That's how we get that cool interactive ability between the multiple stacks. And lastly, if you notice, as we were clicking through the demos, the actual text of our links changed. And that's because PeekABoo can actually change that text for us. So you can say what is our open text and what is our closed text. Now, obviously, this works great for very simple things. The button, the default button, text links. However, with more complex stacks such as Sweep Button and possibly other third-party stacks, this custom launcher text feature may not work. Now, Sweep Button itself has the ability to change text. So in the demo that we saw with Sweep Button, I was using Sweep Button's ability to change that text and not PeekABoo's. And lastly, at the bottom, we can set an inset shadow to have that nice inset feel so that the actual content looks like it's inset into the page. And by default, that's turned off, but you can easily turn and add your own shadows. Now, the PeekABoo Launcher Stack is really easy to use. Once you add it to the page, all you need to do is add the launch ID into the settings that you configured into the PeekABoo stack. This will tie those two stacks together. And then simply drag in a button or a link or whatever you would like that will be used to launch the PeekABoo Launcher Stack. Now, it's important to note that even if you have an entire paragraph of text inside the PeekABoo Launcher, only the link that is inside the text will actually be used to trigger PeekABoo. Now, there's one important thing I want to note. On my product pages, as you'll notice, PeekABoo actually looks like it extends the page below it. It is an entire full width of the web page, and it actually doesn't have any sort of margins or borders around it. Now, out of the box, PeekABoo will look like this. It takes up 100% of the container that it has within it. It will not go edge to edge for you. And unfortunately, this isn't something the stack can do for you automatically. Essentially, what's going on here is the theme has added some padding around your main content area. And for most use cases, this is exactly what you want. However, in the times where you'd like some content to go edge to edge, this is less than ideal. So I'm not going to dive into and show you exactly how to do this in this particular webcast, because every theme is going to be different and every use case is going to be different. Now, obviously, this is outside the scope of a normal support request. However, we've created some great tutorials on our website that actually show you how you can manipulate the themes using CSS and the Safari Dev Inspector. So essentially what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to discover the content area of your website and then reduce the padding and or margins of that area so that your content can go edge to edge. Well, that wraps this video up, everyone. I hope you enjoy PeekABoo. It's a very powerful stack, and I can't wait to see what you guys do to it. So have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.